We appreciate everyone joining us this afternoon. We're excited to walk you through Spreadsheet Server and show how you can free up to 300+ hours in PeopleSoft reporting. So just a couple introductions here on the global software side before we kick things off. So my name's Adam Keller. I'm an Excel automation advisor here at Global. If you have any questions after the webinar today, my contact information will be up at the end of the presentation. Therefore, feel free to reach out, and I'll be happy to assist. I'm also joined by Kevin Gibson. Kevin's a senior consultant on our solutions enablement team. Kevin's been with Global since 2014. Prior to his time here, he was a finance reporting manager at NFIB, where he actually utilized Spreadsheet Server for 6 years. And then prior to that, he was a corporate controller in the healthcare industry and a senior audit manager for a regional accounting firm. That being said, he just has vast knowledge in the accounting and reporting space. He'll certainly be the product expert on today's webinar. So just a few quick facts here about Global Software and a quick introduction to Spreadsheet Server. So we've been around for over 40 years. We were founded in 1973. Our worldwide corporate headquarters are in Raleigh, North Carolina. That's where I'm sitting today. We have sales support offices spread across the country, New York City, Seattle, to name a couple. Our European headquarters are in London, Asian Pacific headquarters in Perth, Australia. So with sales support offices all over the world, this enables us to provide 24/7 support to our current customer base. We are the #1 provider of Excel-based automation solutions for PeopleSoft ERP. Today we are pre-configured to work with over 80 different ERPs, and of course PeopleSoft being one of those. We have over 5,000 supported customers in 120+ countries. In regards to Spreadsheet Server users, we have over 75,000 users of that product. So this is what we're going to talk about today, Spreadsheet Server and Distribution Manager. Over in the left panel there, start in Excel, stay in Excel. That's our motto here at Global Software. So really everything you see today from Kevin's demo will be from within an Excel spreadsheet. So real quick, Spreadsheet Server, it's an Excel-based solution. It allows for real-time Excel-based reporting. It gives you the ability to drill down to the transactional detail. Connection goes directly into your PeopleSoft environment. Contrary to the name, there's no server involved, no hardware, no data warehouse. And being that Spreadsheet Server is Excel-based, it's extremely user-friendly, has a very high adoption rate, specifically with folks in the finance and accounting world. And then Distribution Manager is just a part of Spreadsheet Server. It enables you to streamline and automate the distribution reports all from within Excel. And last slide here before I kick it over to Kevin, this is just a sampling of some of our PeopleSoft customers that we're working with today. As you can see, we work with organizations across many different industries. Just on this screen here, you see the education sector, finance and insurance, retail, local government, and many more. One thing I'd like to note about Spreadsheet Server, and hopefully what you'll see today in the demos, it's a very scalable solution. Some of these companies that you see on your screen here might only have a couple licenses of Spreadsheet Server, while others have dozens to hundreds of licenses. And at the end of the day, we're helping each of these organizations save time in their reporting process. And if you have interest after today's presentation and as your conversations continue with the Global Software representative, then we're always happy to broker a reference call with any of our PeopleSoft customers. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Kevin for the actual demo. One thing I did not mention earlier, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please use the Q&A box up in the top right corner of your WebEx screen. Submit your questions, and we'll be sure to get to those at the end of the call today. So Kevin, it's all yours.
Welcome, everyone. Again, my name is Kevin Gibson. I'm going to walk you through the presentation here today of what Spreadsheet Server can do for you, not only as a product that you can use against your PeopleSoft information, certainly a replacement for InVision, but we can ultimately connect to any information that you may want to report on. Now, we're going to focus on one specific area here today as far as data is concerned, but ultimately different connections, all the different modules that you may be using across the multiple ERPs or certainly databases that you may have, and Spreadsheet Server will work the same. It's live information inside of Excel spreadsheets that you now just change and update parameters to refresh that information and therefore you don't have to go back into, as an example, PeopleSoft in order to have or see further data. We're going to talk about things such as drill down that will also allow you to analyze that as we walk through this presentation today. Now, what is Spreadsheet Server? If you look at the top of the screen, it is just an add-in to Excel. There's no additional hardware. There's no server component as Adam described. This is simply a connection between Excel and your data. So this report is live into that database, into the PeopleSoft information. If someone makes a journal entry, if someone posts a batch of data that changes your report, you simply just refresh it and you will have access to that most recent change. You don't have to wait 24 hours. You don't have to wait and go to lunch and come back. It instantly will refresh inside of that template. Now, the data inside of these spreadsheets, using Spreadsheet Server, is being filtered by parameters. Parameters ultimately can be anything. Inside of this report, the parameters are listed here on the right-hand side. The parameters filter the data. So in this example, I'm looking at a company, a department, and a month and a year to drive this template. As I modify those parameters, it will tell Spreadsheet Server to refresh, recalculate, and pull in the data related to those criteria selections. As an example, if I would like to look at a different department, all I have to do is either key the new parameter right inside the cell, or I have a drop-down list built in that I can select the different options, and notice when I do that, the information inside of this template will automatically update. Now, where it says pending in value in this spreadsheet, that just simply means it's recalculating, and when it's completed, you'll have your changes. Any parameter that you use will work the same way. You can change and modify as many as you want, as often as you want, again, in order to filter down to specifically what it is that you're trying to analyze. We even have the ability to use a wildcard as part of our search. Notice the highlighted area in blue here is now an asterisk symbol. As a standalone, that asterisk symbol will now consolidate all of my departments into the spreadsheet. Again, the recalculation occurs, and now I have an updated template with all of my information. So it's that fast to toggle back and forth between whatever information you need. Again, I don't have to go back to PeopleSoft and trigger any type of calculation. I didn't do a data dump. I didn't upload a trial balance into our product. This is a direct connection into that source. Now, once you're done filtering and using the parameter component, let's talk about what's inside the spreadsheet itself. If I click on any cell inside of this spreadsheet, you will notice there's a formula embedded in that cell. That formula is connected to those parameters, driving that balance, and it's also connected directly into your PeopleSoft information. So with the parameter capability, with the formula connected directly in, this is what's operating that financial statement under the Spreadsheet Server ribbon. Now, if the formula is there, you need to be a user of the product. A user is someone who has access to this ribbon. We will talk about a little bit later in the conversation today how we can distribute these reports to ultimately anyone, removing the formulas, also breaking the links, and therefore it turns it back into Excel, PDF documents, Word documents, or anything that you would like to see. Now, that formula also has another purpose. That formula drives a lot of the other buttons that you see here on the ribbon. One of those is a drill down option. This drill down, automatically part of the formula, will allow you to be able to analyze your information. You'll notice in my repair and maintenance category, I have a variance of $428,000, 44.7%. That's a very large variance for me. It's outside of the level of acceptance. So I want to drill down further into that and just analyze what's going on. So by simply highlighting that cell and selecting the drill down button on the ribbon, I will be able to do that. Now that drill down triggers a panel on the screen. Now that panel is holding the information that makes up that balance. Note the same amount as here in the drill down option. All the different companies and departments and account numbers that I'm using along with their balances and descriptions. When you're inside of these panels, you do have the ability to analyze and have different functionality. If you would like to click on the amount, you'll sort the information, whether it's ascending or descending, click once or click twice. You can do the same on the description or any of the other categories listed here. Remember, I wildcarded the department. All the departments are listed, but I'd like to see those grouped together or summarized. All you have to do is simply drag any of the different headers here where it says drag a column header here, it will group that information accordingly. If you would like to use more than one grouping option, you can. If you need the account number, that will also work, and therefore the lowest level of information in that panel is still available. Drag this information back to its original spot, or you can even move them around. If you want the description on the left-hand side, you just simply drag and drop it there. Now, you can also drill further. If you would like to dive deeper into this information, you can. If you notice, I've got a balance here that's well outside of not only my other balances within the panel, but also in description. This construction labor seems to be misclassified. I would like to analyze this a little more. So again, I'm not limited to just an account balance drill down, but if I just double click on the description or any of the boxes in that line, it will automatically take me to the next level, which is the journals and or transactional data. That drill down and the previous drill downs are part of the formula automatically. You do not have to build them. You do not have to create them. All you have to do is use them. If the formula is there, the drill down is there. At any point, I should say, in the drill downs, this little option tab over here, that will allow you to export this information out into an Excel spreadsheet if you'd like. So if you want to send it to someone in the form of a PDF or just an Excel spreadsheet, you absolutely can. So what we're going to talk about here today is live data. This is just one example of a report that we built using the product. This is just an income statement. This is just Excel. Remember, the ribbon is sitting inside of my Excel workbook. All of the other functions, all the other formulas, pivot tables, VLOOKUPs, charts and graphs, borders and colors, all of that still applies here. Even basic Excel calculations. If I click on the total revenue category, notice that's just an Excel formula adding the information together. We combine the two in order to create reports. Once we're connected into your PeopleSoft data, there's no information off limits to us. So if you want to pull in accounts payable, fixed assets, inventory, sales, manufacturing, or any other database, even connecting into CRM systems such as Salesforce is also an option. And I can do that inside of the exact same workbook and or spreadsheet if you need to be able to do that. Now, I typically pause here for questions, but what I'll do now is I'm going to continue through the conversation in the presentation, and I would urge you all, for all of you that are attending the call today, just submit your questions through the Q&A function within the WebEx feature itself. Adam and I will address those at the end of the phone call today. So again, feel free, and we'll address those again when we're concluding with our conversation. Now, these reports, they don't automatically appear. Let's talk about how we build them. Let's talk about how this formula, although it looks long and confusing, how do we create it? We don't ask you to memorize it. We just ask you to use that formula. So let me demonstrate the Build a Template feature located right here in the middle of the ribbon. Now, the next tab in my workbook is labeled Sheet 1. Now, this is just another worksheet tab. If I open up a brand new workbook, this will work exactly the same way. You do not have to build all of your reports inside of the same workbook that you want to use. I'm going to start from scratch in this example. I'm not going to use a template. I don't have anything to base this off of. I'm going to use my imagination and just throw this formula into the spreadsheet and then just use Excel features to continue to build. Now, that Build a Template button, which I mentioned is in the center of the ribbon, when I click on it, you will notice this panel that appears on the screen. This panel, I call it the interface. It's the interface or connection between Excel and your data. Now, there are different components inside of that Build a Template that allow you to generate different types of reports. The first formula says GL, which stands for General Ledger. So we'll start with some type of GL component, an account number, department, division, cost center. You name it, if it's in your GL today, we can use that as a parameter. As I have 5 listed right here, yours might be a little bit different. We call this area a profile. The profile is important is because every system is built differently. Everyone uses a different chart of accounts. Everyone uses different components to filter their data. Even within inside the same system, they're ultimately just different. Well, we will create this profile for you. You don't have to map it. All you have to do is use it. Now, we do have other formulas that have the word query in them. Ultimately, as I mentioned, once we're connected in, we can pull data from anywhere. So whether it's from AP or AR or the general ledger, you simply just select the formula and it will walk you through the process. We'll focus on the GL formula today, the parameters that I have available, and then we'll start and continue to build that report. Now, the questions that you'll answer are in the form of drop-downs. So the first questions that you answer, where do I want to insert that formula? I'm going to default to the tab that I'm on, which is just sheet 1. Under balance type, where it says A, that stands for actual data. So you want to pull your live actual data from the system. If you need to pull your budget data, that would be a B option. That will allow you to be able to pull in all of your budgets, forecasts, and plans. It's that easy to have an actual versus budget report. Now, as I'm walking through this process, I am going to make an initial selection of criteria. But once I insert this formula, I will be able to modify them all. The year, self-explanatory, that's just the year of data you would like to see, down to the different formats, whether it's a period, quarter, year-to-date, life-to-date, or range. Even the period itself, that's just the month that you want to start with. Again, all of these are changeable. All of these can be modified inside Excel here in just a few moments. Now, for those of you on the call who may deal in multi-currency, you might not have one standard default currency that you use. Our product will read that. We can do translations. We can recognize different currencies altogether, different ledgers, whatever options that you have inside of your system, we absolutely can recognize those. Some of you may not have that, and that's okay. Remember, this panel is customized by us for your system. Now, under the account segment area, I mentioned the 5 segments that I'm using. These segments help me filter. Now, to use them, to the right of each one, there's a button that says row. If I click on it, it will change it to a column. All that simply means is will the data go up and down or left to right inside of Excel. You'll notice that copy and paste will move that around in just a few moments. Now, the value column, it has an asterisk symbol defaulted in it. If you would like to keep that, you can, or you can simply remove it and start keying in the information you would like to see. Company 1, Department 410. If you need a specific account number, you just type it. If you don't know what you're looking for, to the right of each value column, there is a lookup box. There is a box that I can select to see the different companies, departments, and account numbers, and if you want to look those up, you simply just type, here's the information. You can filter. Remember, this is an interactive chart of accounts in this case, so I'll have the most up-to-date information. Even if you change that description or account number, you can filter and select your data. That type of filtering applies to every segment that you have. Now, there is a range box that if you check this box here, that will allow you to put in an ending account number. Therefore, I can pull in information in ranges and just insert that into Excel. Now, there's an area for a line description. If I want to add something here, all I have to do is simply type it, and that will provide a description for what I have just created, and again, that can be modified. Hit the Insert button, and you will notice that lengthy formula is automatically created. All of the parameters that were in that spreadsheet or in that panel are automatically inserted into my spreadsheet, and now it just becomes an Excel exercise. All I have to do is copy, paste, start modifying any information that I've previously selected, and you'll notice my report will continue to recalculate and update. If I would like to see a quarter data, you want to compare that to a range. A range can be anything, months 5 through 9. You want to pull in year-to-date information, or even just drop in a simple Excel calculation between the 2 columns. You want to copy this down the spreadsheet. Again, simple copy and paste will do that, and you continue to filter. You can even use the wildcard as part of your search, all accounts that start with 7, and I can even change the description. Remember, it's just Excel, so everything that's available now can still continue to be modified. Here, if I want to add a different department, I can. If you would like to change the year of data, again, it's just a matter of a user filtering through the information. If you want to drill down further, remember the formulas here, it's automatic. But there's also another button I'd like to demonstrate, and it's called the Expand and Collapse feature. I've created a category called Repairs. I've got it in 4 different columns with 1 manual calculation, and I've got a range of accounts making up that total. I would like to see that information. So by clicking the Expand option, notice what it does to my spreadsheet. It will pull in all of those active accounts, all of their descriptions, even their balances, which are still intact with formulas. I can drill down at this level if I'd like to. So that $1.9 million balance, or variance I should say, is made up of all of these different components, and I can focus where the variance is at its largest. You can leave the spreadsheet in this format, or just simply hitting the collapse button will roll it right back up to the original formula that you created. So this is how you build reports. I also want to mention this is the worst case scenario. I started from scratch. I don't have anything to base this on. You all already have a lot of reports that you know and use today. You like the format, you just don't like how they're created or how they're manually updated or data dumped. We can insert our formula into those spreadsheets and bring them to life. We also have templates that we can provide to you as part of the training process that'll also help you get implemented much quicker on this system. But ultimately, because it's Excel, the learning curve is greatly reduced. The Build a Template interface makes it much easier to build information, whether it's just your standard GL data, financial reports, or any other module that you're connected to inside of your system. Spreadsheet Server gives you the ease of use to be able to do that. And again, I do not have PeopleSoft open on another screen, dumping that information into another tab. I'm creating this on the fly. Now, the visual aspect of this, the charts, the graphs, the borders, and colors, those are just all the other ribbons that you know and use today. So how far you want to take this from an automated perspective, you absolutely can. It's really just you that's the limit as far as making this ease of use. Again, I typically pause here for questions. Questions or comments that you have, we will address those at the end of the presentation today. So please submit those through the Q&A feature that's provided as part of the WebEx. And again, Adam and I will address those as we go, again, complete the conversation and presentation today. Now, from the part of building reports to the ability to modify, change, and ultimately report not only on your PeopleSoft data, but any other source of information that you have. Again, Excel is the interface. The Build a Template is how you even get to those different sources. Let's talk about how you distribute them. We have a distribution feature that also comes with the product. Notice on the right-hand side of the ribbon, that distribution manager is part of that installation. Remember, no server component. All of the functionality I'm showing you here is part of one install. They're not multiple products. They're just multiple features. Now, the distribution relates to your workbook. So inside of every workbook, you will have what we call a distribution control tab, as noted here. When I click on that, you'll notice a different format appears. Different headers. I have some distribution listed here. How did we get to this point? Well, the distribution control was created when you hit New Control Sheet. This worksheet now follows the workbook. The different headers have been inserted. Even the same name is listed here. So this is the process that I used to create this tab. The different distribution types that are listed here were created when I used the Build a Template feature for distribution. It's also called Maintain Specs. When I click on that button, you'll notice this additional panel that appears that'll walk you through, very similar in function to the Build a Template for the formula, only again, this is the Build a Template on distribution. So from file saving data, which if you select the file saving option, the button on the right-hand side will allow you to scroll out, select the detail or information of where you would want to store this, to also being able to just email. Now, we connect into multiple email applications, which in my case, I'm using Outlook here today, but no, that's not the only option that's out. But if I do select the email option, you'll notice the email tab appears. I'll walk you through that here in just a few moments. Now, from the different file types, remember this is Excel. We're a Microsoft partner, so all the different versions of Excel will work. We can even convert it to a CSV, HTML, PDF, or even a Word document. Modification of cells. If I go to the first tab, the profit and loss report that we started with, remember every report has formulas and parameters. Well, if I modify those parameters, the report updates. Well, I can do those modifications while I distribute. So this drop-down box has a listing of all my tabs. So if I select profit and loss, I can select any tab or any parameter, I should say, to modify. So in this case, I want to modify the department. It's wild-carded now, but I want it to be Department 410. The individual who receives this is only in charge of Department 410. I don't need them to see everyone else's information. Not only can I change the department, but I can also change the date. So if I want to make this a different period or year or whatever parameter it is, as many changes to as many parameters as you would like. Now, when I distribute this, the recalculation will occur, the changing of parameters will occur. Again, therefore, you can use one template to have standardized reporting. Now, under Specify Worksheets, this is where you can select the reports to send. This profit and loss, I certainly want to send that, and I want to send maybe an additional report. I've got a dashboard here. I've got AP, fixed assets. It doesn't matter. All you have to do is select the tab for distribution. For instance, fixed asset information. This will also be sent to the end recipient. This will be one attachment with two worksheets in that one workbook. Now notice some additional options appear. By checking under the Protect area, this will allow me to apply passwords. So the individual in this case can have a password to open the workbook or to modify it, so therefore they can't change any of the information without knowing that password, or if you just want to protect one specific sheet. Now, remember, at the beginning of the phone call, we talked about the formula that's in the spreadsheet that you insert via the Build a Template. Well, if that formula is there, you are considered a user, so you have to have the ribbon. Well, what happens if I want to send this to someone who doesn't have that type of access? Well, the formula will need to be removed. Well, we call that formula a global formula, which means if that formula is there, the drill down is there, the refresh is there, but the individual who opens it up is not that individual, nor do we want them to have that kind of information. So we'll convert that formula back to a static Excel spreadsheet. They won't even know Spreadsheet Server even exists. They can't drill down and they cannot refresh. Therefore, they don't have to have a ribbon. It just turns it back into Excel. That will leave the Excel formulas. Notice there is an Excel option to remove all formulas, which even means the Excel formulas. And then there's also a conversion that says no conversion at all, which means all the formulas will stay, all the drill downs will stay, and the individual has to have a license in order to view that template. Recalculation options, to the ability to be able to email this right from the Excel workbook. Now that email tab will guide you through that process. Remember, I'm using Outlook here, so when I hit the To button, it will pull in my contact list and address book, so I can filter through, select my name, and a panel will appear here, just like you create an email today. Type in that subject line, type down here in the panel box. When you send this email, it's going to say it's from you at your email address. It's not going to say it's from Spreadsheet Server. It's not going to say it's from Global Software. The user will recognize the person who sent that information. It will go through your sent items, and if someone responds, it will go to your inbox. The last part of this miscellaneous tab, we've covered the passwords. If you have macros in your workbook, you can still use those. If you would like to attach additional documents, all you have to do is go hit the Add button, scroll out, grab that information, and that will also be an attachment to that email. Now, by hitting the Push button, that does not distribute the information yet. All it does is it puts it in the Excel workbook. Now, I can modify it here in the panel still. It's still open, or I can modify it right here in Excel. Now, modification means I can copy and paste down the spreadsheet. I can start changing information. So if I need to send Adam a report, all I have to do is type his name. If I want to change him from Excel to PDF, I want to send a version of this to Tim. And he's a user of Excel, but he needs a static spreadsheet. So you're simply making your selections. Now, on top of that, each individual is a different department manager. So I'm going to change their departments to meet their reporting needs. And as a matter of fact, Tim doesn't need the fixed asset report. He's not involved in that area for his department. So I've just added 3 additional lines to be able to distribute. Once this part of the area or functionality is built, it's always built as well. So your distribution now becomes a matter of being able to hit this distribute button and distribute all your data. You can highlight 1 or 2 lines and do a selected distribution, but we also have a profile scheduler. Reports can be scheduled at any given time, minute, day, week, month, or year on a recurring basis. So you don't even have to open up the workbook in order for that to happen. If you use the scheduling component, reports will be sent as directed. So from start to finish, we connect into your data from a read-only perspective. We use Excel as the interface. You have the ability to build reports. You have the ability to modify. Ultimately, you have the ability to share and distribute via the distribution manager. Therefore, our motto, start in Excel, stay in Excel. Now, that concludes the discussion that we planned for today's presentation. We're certainly going to address comments and questions. If you have any, submit them to the Q&A box. But at this time, Adam, are there any questions out there that we can address?
Yes, thanks, Kevin. That was a phenomenal overview there. So we did have a few questions that came in, so we want to spend some time and address those. The first one that came in, outside of PeopleSoft, how many other systems have connectors out of the box? Also, could in-house applications such as a mainframe connect as well?
So in simple terms, there's really no limit for connections for us. Whether it's PeopleSoft or whether it's any other, we refer to them really as databases because we connect to the database. We do not go through the application side. So it's really a matter of, if it's a relational database, we can connect to it, such as SQL servers, Oracle databases, DB2, AS400, iSeries type information. We connect to over 85 different ERPs, general ledgers / databases, and we can do that at the exact same time. So it's really just a matter of what are those connections? Can we connect to them? In most cases, the answer is yes. There's always an exception out there somewhere. But we do that on a case-by-case basis, and in some events, we're even connected. We have a lot of clients and prospects out there that are even on a hosted environment. So it's just a matter of just letting us in, and then again, Excel becomes the interface to that data.
Great. Another question here, Kevin. Someone asked, what types of non-GL reporting can Spreadsheet Server automate?
And that's a great question. We really didn't talk about the non-GL side of things, but ultimately anything. If it's in the system, we can grab it. From payroll to accounts receivable, all the data, once we're connected in, is available. So as an example, I've got a KPI dashboard report here where we're looking at some different elements of information. We've got accounts receivable aging report. We have revenue for the last 6 months, monitoring the inventory levels, and also a summarized cash flow in the bottom right. This report is live. All 4 areas are connected into this spreadsheet, and this dashboard is interactive. If I want to change the aging buckets, all I have to do is change the category, and notice that area automatically refreshes. If I want to drill down, I ultimately can do that. Notice I'm not looking at financial information here. I even have the contact names and phone numbers related to accounts receivable in this drill down. If I want to look at revenue for the last 6 months, last 6 years, it really doesn't matter. That's the great part about it. All reports can be modified to fit your needs, even down to the inventory selection, which is a selection button here in the template. If I click on that option, notice my different inventory levels will appear, or different inventory items will appear, and if I select a new one, you'll notice it will automatically refresh for that selection. So any area of data, doesn't matter, it works the same way, whether it's PeopleSoft or any other connection that we've made. It's all available to you, and now Excel will handle all of that. Once the template's built, it's always built.
Great, thanks, Kevin. Got a couple more here. Someone asks, they've invested significant time in their current reporting strategy. Will I lose reports I've already created?
I can't answer that one to 100%, again, not knowing what's there, what you're using to create them, what technology you're using or coming from. I will make a general statement here. In most cases, the answer is no. We can take most reports and insert our formula into them. Obviously, it makes it easier if you can get those into Excel because the formula and conversion becomes much easier for us. We certainly can duplicate reports because we have a lot of pre-built content already created. So again, the goal here is that you don't have to start over. We don't want you to lose any information, not one report. We actually want you to be able to have much better information and easier access to that data. So it's a case-by-case basis, but I will tell you in most cases, and you can speak to our current customers and they'll answer the question the same way. The ease of use, with the conversion ability, they're able to get up and running on this very quickly, whether it's through conversion or whether it's through building. But the goal is to make that transition very easy for you because we provide on-site training to be able to help you understand how that can be done.
Okay, great. Another question that came in here. I can handle the first part here, Kevin. I'll let you handle the rest. How does the licensing work? Is it a per-user license? And then he went on to ask about the security and administration. How does that work? Can it be mirrored to PeopleSoft access easily? So the first part of your question there, so yes, they are named user licenses. So we have 3 different license types, and we're certainly happy to talk about those 3 different license types after the webinar today. Feel free to reach out to me. My contact information will be on the screen at the end of today's call. So these licenses are a one-time purchase. The only ongoing cost with Spreadsheet Server is our annual maintenance fee. And just keep in mind with that annual maintenance fee, you're going to be able to take advantage of our 24/7 support, as well as any upgrades that we have with our software would be available to you. And Kevin, I'll let you handle the security and administration part of that question.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first and foremost, the answer is if your database has security on it, we're going to read it. We want you to not lose any of that functionality. If a user cannot get into, as an example, PeopleSoft, if they can't get into payroll, the Spreadsheet Server access does not grant you access to everything out of the box. It's whatever your security restrictions are today. Now, let's say that your database does not have security. We have the ability inside of our system to do what we call masking, which means, in a simple term, we can add security if you need it. So we'll have you covered on both sides. We're going to read your security first if you have it. If not, we can apply security on top of that through our functionality, and then ultimately you can bring in any information that you want or control the information that other users are even accessing, because we can control even the connections. Not every user has to have access to the different areas of data or the different connections that you have. So if you have multiple sources, even that can be controlled on a user-by-user basis.
All right, great. And one last question here. Someone asked if they need training and how long is the training. The answer is yes. So we have on-site training with Spreadsheet Server when you purchase Spreadsheet Server. We're going to be on site with you from anywhere from 2 to 5 days, just depending on the license types that you purchase. One thing I will say about the training is it's very hands-on. When our trainers are on site with you, they're going to roll their sleeves up with you, and a majority of the training is going to be spent on what we call a report building workshop. So if you have some ideas of reports ahead of time that you're looking to automate with Spreadsheet Server, let us know. Or just if you have some ideas once our trainer gets on site, they're actually going to help you build out some reports while they're there. So very much a hands-on training. Again, my contact information is on the screen now. If you have some additional questions around that as well, I'd be happy to have a conversation with you. So I don't see any more questions, so I guess that concludes today's webinar. Once again, we appreciate everyone for joining us this afternoon. Any questions, again, feel free to reach out to me, or if you'd like a more personalized one-on-one demo, again, give me a call, shoot me an email, and I'll be happy to set that up. So we hope everyone has a great rest of the week, and thanks for your time.